Okay, just a little bit review. Okay, why Big 12s? Okay, that's just a category. So it's just for the Big 12 mascots. Okay, Cowboys, Sooners for safety, Cowboy for corner. Um, yeah, that's just it. I like to have obviously one word calls. Offenses are going fast. You got to be able to move fast. And if you want to be able to bring your things, bring your tools, bring your bullets in every situation, no matter how fast the offense is going, well, then you better get those signals out to the defense fast, especially if you're calling it kind of late and wanting to see the formation, wanting to see the backfield. Okay, Cowboys again. It's a 5-man pressure from the boundary. Okay, we're going to play some type of quarter tools. If you want to focus here on box 4 right here, okay, we want to play some type of core tool. So we're going to play some type of either a palms over here, okay, with a man except shallow technique, which we call lock or 6-man some years, okay, to the boundary, okay. And these guys are going to play man except shallow rules, which means that these guys run under, okay, or even an under 1/2 route, okay, with a condensed set as well. Most of the time, we are going to teach these guys to pass these routes off into our zone players to the field. Again, why we do man except shallow techniques down here, okay, is because we have zone droppers to the field. Okay, the same is going to get his eyes turned back towards the quarterback. He should be getting an under call from the will to the mic, or from the boundary safety to the will to the mic, or the boundary corner to the will to the mic. Okay. And then he will obviously be able to zone off. If obviously we were playing some type of cloud over there, the corner will eventually take that if the Sam is pushing it all the way through. Okay. And then box 3 over here, we are talking about going back to fire zone, rip blitz, match rules based off 2 removed. Okay. We do not blitz the boundary corner, the boundary safety with 2 removed. We are going to just check this thing to our will, who will now take over the blitz for the DB. Okay. Some defenses will still play man to the boundary and quarters to the field, even with a 2x2 two open surfaces on both sides. We do that sometimes depending on what we're getting. Okay. But the number one thing is when you're playing with 2 open surfaces on both sides and you got 2 remove weak right here is number 3. If that back is a major pass threat, okay, I do not like playing 6-man. You got to get this mic all the way over here. You got to push it, and you have to have answers. Otherwise, they are just going to outflank you to the boundary all day long, okay? And I'm telling you from past experience, okay? Even a 3 motion to the boundary or a 2 motion from the field into the boundary, okay, for a pinwheel type route, all right, where they're running some type of wheel and then some type of follow with the back, okay, that will also wear out 6 lock or 6-man coverage, okay? Those are type of calls, which if you get that call versus that play, okay, it's not going to be a fun day most of the time. You got to be able to uh, some people call it a drop kick your coverage. If you're staying in the quarters world, there's going to be an example. Unfortunately, I was able to grab the film of 2 motion to the boundary. When I was at Central, we were going to what we call sky to the field, and then they hit the pinwheel up into the boundary. Okay, certain times, 6 lock. Okay, certain situations, 6 lock is not good. Okay, is honestly in the high red hot zone area where a team is going to take some type of shot. Okay, a motion in the boundary, shot play. Okay, these will come honestly from a timeout. Okay, from a quarter change. Okay, if you're ever in a quarter change situation, that team's getting into the hot zone, I recommend not calling some type of 6 lock coverage because they are scheming something up in that huddle on the sideline. Okay, more than likely a motion play. Okay, trying to screw your defense up, especially if they know what type of calls like 6 lock. I do like it in the red zone. I just don't like it in certain situations. Okay, and that is one of them. Okay, coming from a timeout, coming from a quarter change, okay, or even an explosive play going into the red zone. I prefer to stay out of the 6 lock world. Okay, the rush is our boundary outside B. He obviously has a spill because he is going underneath any heels face wrap on the tackle. The will is going wide track. He is a shuffle squeeze player. Okay, I know there's a lot of people who talk about the wide track, okay, blitz, okay, or an edge contained blitz. A lot of people tell them automatically to get the quarterback depth when they have an outside back, another outside B or a 5 technique going underneath it. Okay, the problem is everyone thinks that when they get a veer block right here, okay, that one, he might just come off his ass, okay, or you try to help him get in the B gap. This C gap is super weak right here. Okay. There are 2 gaps when you're playing 6 lock boundary fires that are going to end up being open in the middle of the play. It is either going to be your field A gap open if you're not telling the 3 technique, boundary 3 technique to cross the center's face on any type of zone scheme. This field A can be open. If you tell him to cross the center's face to get into A, this boundary A gap is now open. Okay. The mic has to be able to get ready to fall A to see. And that is why I like boundary fires or playing 6-man, especially if you're an odd team or even a 4-down field under team. I think it could be very effective. We are going to talk about running some of these with a field front as well. Okay. D-line rules, as you can tell, presentation or movement, okay, or pressure movement. A rain light, if we are coming from the left, we are telling our guys some type of L word, okay? If we are coming from the right, we are telling them some type of R word. So these drawings right here are both an L word, left, left. Why? Because the boundary's to our left, the field is to our right. We want to bring it from the left. The D-line always knows to work away from the call, okay? The D-line on the field side, they have an option with a possible nut call or not call. Some people call different types, where this guy's going to be tight off the guard's ass if he's going down, or he's going to rip it tight and get skinny off him. And we call that obviously a skid technique, because we really want to rip the skin off your arm when you're keeping it tight and ripping across him. Okay, the nose will then pop around and now become the contained player to the field. We are going to talk about different ways to play your field end. Okay, if you are a team that bases in a field under with a 5 technique, or sometimes you could have the 3 technique here and a 5 technique, how are you going to play that base end? Are you going to tell him, if he's normally a squeeze to dive player, to still play squeeze to dive? And the reason why some teams still play him as a dive player with the back to him, okay, is because you have your Sam as an apex player playing palms or whatever it is. When you're playing 6 lock, you still got 3/2. These guys can trigger. And so that allows you to make the decision, hey, do I want my base end to still squeeze it and play it like he's playing a normal open side 5 technique for us? Or do I want him to now be a wide contained player? Okay, which means if he got power read, he is now the tailback player. Okay, if he is getting power read and you're telling him to play his normal spill technique, low track type technique, where you get heavy on the tackle, he is now the quarterback player against power read. And you're probably wondering, why am I drawing up power read? Well, I love these calls versus power read of the field, in my opinion. Okay, I think they're pretty effective. Okay, again, to remove the boundary, we're going to go to our will. Okay, you don't always have to run it with what we call sometimes a Zorro, zip, zap, whatever. Okay, it's your own terms, rip, Liz, whatever. Okay, sometimes we won't go to that every single time. Okay, it depends on what we're getting. Mike, always follow the side of pressure. Okay, we tell guys when we're blitzing, you better send that ball back to the blitzers. What is the point in blitzing if you're not going to send the ball back to the players you are bringing? Okay, every blitz has a purpose, especially versus certain runs. Okay, we are trying to defend plays. Okay, boundary corner, if he's going wide track, okay, again, he is a shuffle squeeze player, which means if he got true zone read with the back to him, he is naturally going to let the quarterback slightly outflank him, and he's going to still track that thing inside out. The reason is because of this freaking C gap right here. That is what can get you every single time. Okay, whether there's a 3-man surface here or a 2-man surface. I'm going to show you a clip of where you actually play it perfectly and it still gets out. Okay, hopefully it doesn't talk you out of ever running this stuff. Boundary safety, you're going to lock number 1. Okay, there are 3 routes that he has to defend every single time. Okay, that is it's the funniest routes. It's because it's a hitch, slant, fade. Well, coach, you're telling me to pretty much defend the whole field. Yeah, well, I am. Okay, but we tell him to shuffle, speed, all right, 90 degrees. Okay, stretch stack 1 at a 90. Okay, that is the term we use. All right, sorry, I kind of stumbled over my words right there. Obviously, I've been on a little bit of 4th of July vacation and stuff like that. But again, we tell this guy to shuffle, stack 1 at a 90 there. Okay, we want him to be square. His eyes are burning on the inside hip of 1. Okay, and then he's just going to drive that thing and he's going to force him into the sideline. Okay, even though we don't like to put the ball outside of our cup, we like to keep it inside. Here, we want to use the sideline as our help if the guy does end up catching the ball. All right, and then again, if there's ever a wide split by 1, okay, I think these are great high school calls, personally, especially with the wide hashes. But if there is ever a wide split by 1, the boundary corner has the allotment or the freedom to tell the boundary safety to now take over the blitz, okay, which we call a change call, okay, anytime a DB. Let's talk about motion real quick, too, okay? There's a couple things I was not always able to find on the film. If this number 2, okay, so we swap these guys out, all right, the will is now going. If this guy now motions back in, okay, whether it's jet, okay, or whether it's a cross and then just start shuffling. Like that's what a lot of teams are now doing. Starting with 2 open surfaces with the Y, motion the Y over, get into 11 personnel, 20 personnel looks, whatever you want to call it. Okay, and now running, obviously, those heavier type of runs, not 2 open surface type runs. We will bump the will back in and we will automatically bring the boundary safety or the replacer of the blitzer. Okay, we are not going to bring the boundary corner back in the blitz when number 2 is motioning back in. Why? Because once my guy is swapped out of a blitz, he is now in a coverage mindset. Okay, I do not want him to get him out of a coverage mindset. Yes, it takes three guys to talk right here at the pre-snap alignment. But as soon as it's a motion, I want to cut that communication from three guys and I want to go to two. Okay. And so these are the only two guys that are communicate, because once you're swapped out of a blitz, you're out of it for good. And honestly, it is a great changeup. They never expected to come. Okay. I really love. I got it from FAU when I was at my time at FAU. That's another Saban system thing, which means another Kirby Smart type thing. Okay, and I think those are very effective. We had a lot of success with it during the spring. Okay, and that is a base rule. So, for example, if it is three removed, okay, and we wanted to bring our Sam, well, we don't blitz him across three and zone blitzes. So now the Mike has to bump out and run it. Well, if the number three motion's back in, the field safety is going to say change, 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 and he would end up taking the blitz. Okay. Oh, one more thing about the front here. Okay, with the nose tackle end. Again, if you're playing a field under and you're more of a vertical penetrating team, these are probably more short stick type techniques where you're stepping 45 and going. Okay, getting vertical. As you can tell, the way we're drawing them, we're an odd team to start. Okay, and we're gonna play inside shades, outside shades, no matter what. Okay, but whatever the kids end up being good at, that is what we're mostly gonna run. Yes, these are drawn up because I want this center to not have any idea where we're gonna be setting our front every single time. And that is why we see these drawings out of normal odd. We will get into it, and you'll see examples of us running a field under and even the field front.